Hey everybody, I'm Joey and I'm here to talk about a specific paper crafting subject today that I think a lot of us fall into, especially someone just getting started with stamping. So, have you ever bought a lot of supplies, actually for anything in particular, but we're going to talk crafting today, that you haven't used? So, because it's easy to get in a sense of being overwhelmed, not knowing where to start. Whether you're a beginner and you have your first products, or you're actually looking to what should I buy if I want to get into stamping, or you're an experienced stamper that has some products that have been sitting on the shelf and that you haven't used yet, we're going to get you started today using those supplies. Let me know in the comments if you've ever purchased anything for stamping or scrapbooking, for paper crafting that you have not used. I really like to know that. So make sure you jump on, say hello, and answer my question, because I think all of us can find a friend in that kind of situation and we can share with each other so we don't feel alone. Hi, Jamie. Jamie's here. Julie's here. Carol, hi. All right, people are finding me. I am a few minutes late. I had a doctor's appointment this morning. This office has never run late. I've only been there like 2 times, but then today they were running late, quite late, but I made it without being too late here, so I'm happy about that, and I'm happy you're here with me too. Hi, Diane. Good afternoon. So, if you didn't hear my question earlier, or you just jumped on, I would like to know, the question was, do you have paper crafting supplies that you have not used, that are sitting on the shelf, and for whatever reason you haven't gotten to them yet? I'd really like to know that, because I do. In fact, the stamp set we're using today is one that I hadn't used yet, and I've had it for at least 6 months, probably longer, but we're going to use it today, and we're going to make some everyday cards for everyday occasions that anyone can make, whether you're just starting today or you have been paper crafting for a while. So let's go ahead and get started, and if you'll stay tuned to the end, I'm going to tell you my stamping story, because I want you to know that if you don't feel creative, if this is very new to you, either you saw my blurb to watch this video about beginning stamping, or you have just happened onto it by accident and you thought, well, I'm going to take a look here and see what they're talking about. You do not have to feel like you're creative. You don't have to be creative to be a stamper. I was not. I didn't feel like I was. As I've grown through the years, I feel like I am much more creative, but I hadn't done anything art-wise or artistic-wise before I started stamping since my 7th grade art class, and that is true. And I probably started stamping about 20 years ago. So I didn't have any hobbies. I didn't, as I said, didn't think I was creative. The only thing I ever really made was a wreath and put a bow on it, and used a mini glue gun to make a door wreath, and I did that in a class at a community college. So you can do this. You can enjoy this, and the best thing about stamping is the friends that it brings you, or the second best. I'm not sure. The first one for me was therapy. It just became a stress relief for me. I could sit down and just work with my stamps and paper and just forget about everything else and just focus on that for a while. And it really did become a therapy for me. The other thing that I really valued, as I said, are the friendships I've formed. So those two things, if you need to get connected with people, stamping is actually one of the best ways to do that, either online with us here or in your community or local group, wherever you are. We get together here. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska, so we get together here in person. I also get together on Zoom with my team, and then I'm here with you today on YouTube, and hopefully I showed up on Facebook too. Diane usually watches on Facebook. Yep, she's on Facebook, so I know I'm live in both places. Yay! That's an accomplishment. All right, that's enough jibber jabbering. Let's go ahead and get started stamping. I'm going to bring you down to my workspace here. and let's get going. Now, I want to check your comments. So if you're watching a replay, you are watching a replay of a live video. So there's going to be chatting. Oh, Jamie, you're welcome. There's going to be chatting and visiting, and I'm seeing some comments that say, yes, I have bought supplies that I have not used. So I think that is honestly all of us that have done any paper crafting at all. Okay, a little bit more about my story here, and it's going to be relevant to this first card. I did not even own a paper trimmer when I first started. So a friend and I decided we were going to start this after she had a party. And I still didn't think I had time with it, nor would I actually take time to do it. But she really wanted to do it, and she was my best friend, so we decided we were going to do it together. And so we bought some colored paper, about 3 colors of ink, and then and some white paper. No, I didn't buy white paper. We bought ink and colored paper and a couple of stamp sets a piece. So I went to the store to buy cards and envelopes. So I would buy, these pre-cut cards. Now these are ours. These are Stampin' Up, and these are not full size. So these are called note cards. They are, what do I want to say, like 5 by 7.5, 5 by 7, and they're already pre-scored for you. So, and they come with the envelopes, and you get 20 in a pack. I'm just realizing I forgot to put that on my list of supplies for today's video. By the way, I'm going to send the PDF with all the instructions, the photos, the YouTube link to all my email subscribers. It's going to be my gift this week to all my newsletter subscribers. So if you're not on my newsletter, make sure you sign up. If you're not subscribed to me on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe there as well, so you don't miss anything coming up. I plan to do a series on using your tools, beginning stamping, and all the things that you'll want to know to stamp and have fun with a new hobby, if it's new, or to review and get reminded of some things along the way. But let me go ahead and grab some scrap paper. Now this is a must-have for your stamping. I think it's only $6. It's called a Stampin' Pierce mat. It's about 1/2 inch thick. And for photopolymer stamps, which are the see-through ones that we're going to use today, this is really, really important because it gives you a cushion. On our photopolymer stamps, we don't have an extra cushion. You can see they're right on the block. They're just the width of the stamp itself. On our rubber stamps, we have a little cushion built in. They're called cling stamps. And so you don't need this mat for those. But we're going to use this today. And I'm going to put some scrap paper on it because we're going to do what I call either background stamping or make your own designer series paper. So as I said, when I first started stamping, I went to the store to buy white paper, white cards already made. I didn't have a paper trimmer. I don't even know how long it took me to buy a paper trimmer, but I did not have one when we first started, my friend Kathy and I. But now, of course, it's important to have a paper cutter because you can purchase these note cards. They're great for experienced stampers who want a quick way to make a note and not spend time in cutting any paper. This is a strawberry slush ink pad. I forgot to show you how to open it. So they open like a compact. So there's a little ridge here. And then you just open it like this, and then you slide it in. I use the heel of my hand because they're a little stiff sometimes, and if you use your fingers, you can find your fingers full of ink. So that's that. But it's much more economical for you to buy your white paper and then cut it instead of buying pre-cut note cards because they are more expensive. Okay, so I'm just tapping my stamp in my ink very lightly, like so. Might do one more little tiny stamp right there. Usually I start with 3. When I'm going to make my background paper, I usually start with 3 of one image. And then I'm going to just actually use the same stamp, and we're just going to move to another color. This is Fresh Freesia. I'm going to open it the same way and push it in with the heel of my hand. This is Fresh Freesia. Oh, and this is my cleaning mat. I forgot to show you this. Now, they don't come. This is a stamp case. These are available to purchase. I use them for storage. Mostly they're in sets of 4. And then this is a chamois mat that you do need to clean your stamps. Now, you can start off with, we started off with, when Kathy and I first started, we started off with a damp washcloth on a plate to clean our stamps. That's what we started with. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave some space because I know I'm going to stamp 3 colors of flowers and I'm going to stamp a leaf to fill in. So I'm going to kind of go again in triangles. So let's go like, and again I'm leaving some space. And then let's do one more, a third one. Let's go like right there with that one. Now for color selection, so that's the other thing I want to talk about briefly. I'm grabbing my catalog. If you are new to stamping and you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'm happy to get a catalog to you, so just let me know if you want one. But what I did when we first started stamping, now Stampin' Up! Puts their colors in color families. So all we did when we bought our first colors is we went to a single color family. We have 4 plus what's called in colors, and I picked 3 colors from a color family because Stampin' Up! Makes sure that all these colors within this color family, they go together well. Now you can obviously pick from all of these when you're buying your inks, but if you're like confused and you feel overwhelmed, just go to one color family and pick 3, maybe 4 colors. Okay, that's really important. Now you can do the same with the ink colors. If you pick some of these, they all go together. These are the ones that started 2 years ago. These are the new ones, right? So had to think through what am I talking about. But that's one of the easiest ways to pick colors so that you don't get overwhelmed with picking, because honestly, I would have never stamped. Once I looked at a catalog at my friend's party, I was way overwhelmed. Just looking at the catalog, I was overwhelmed. So, but I'm so glad that she really wanted to keep doing it. So I decided we would do it together. And it's been honestly one of the best things in my life. I say that truly. I really mean that. So let me go ahead. This is Pool Party. It's another coordinating color. And again, I'm going to just stamp my flower in 3 places, maybe 4 here, just kind of filling in. You can always come back and add more, but you know, we know the rule that you can't take it away. So I realized I forgot to show you my stamp set that we're using today. This is called With You in Mind, and I particularly picked this today because it's a stamp set with both images and greetings, and these have all the basic ones. So happy birthday, best wishes, thank you, and thinking of you. This is not a new stamp set. It's one that carried over from our last catalog, and it's really a good one because it can cover all the holidays or all the occasions in your life that you might want to stamp a card for. So with that stamp set, a few ink colors, and some note cards and envelopes, you're ready to get started, and you can make this very card I'm showing you today. Okay, now I'm going to take my leaf stamp and my 4th color here, so it's Garden Green, and I'm going to do what was my favorite stamping technique when I first started stamping, which is called stamping off. So if I did this right on my card, it's going to be really, really bright. But I'm going to ink my stamp, and then I'm going to stamp it off, and then I'm going to then stamp it on my paper. So you can see how much lighter it is from here to here. And it's like it gives you, every ink pad has at least 2 colors for you. So it has the darker color, and then you can make it be a lighter color. And I thought this was the coolest thing when I first started stamping. I'm like, oh my gosh, you get 2 colors for the price of 1. So now I'm just filling in all the blank spaces. This is still my favorite kind of stamping. When I just really want to sit down and make a stack of cards for thank you cards. I send a lot of thank you cards. This is something that I would sit down and make multiples of and have them ready to go in a fairly short time. Now I'm going to go ahead and close my card for the fact that I'm going to stamp off the edges. Now that's something I didn't do originally when I first started stamping. I just stayed within the perimeter of the card itself. But if you go to the edges here, let's go ahead. I'm turning my stamp different ways. Then your eye, it takes your eye, it spreads your out the way that you look at a card. So let me keep going here, and I'm just turning my leaves all different directions. So there you have it. It looks like we could use maybe another flower up there, so I'm going to go back. You can always, with this kind of stamping, you can always go back and add just a teeny bit more. I think I'm going to use, let's use strawberry slush maybe. Just a little bit up there. Let me grab my flower. And this one, of course, we're just going to go ahead and I'm holding my card down. You don't want your cardstock to move like this. Okay, so there we go. All right, now I think that's pretty complete. And you could use any colors you want for this. It's very fast to do it. I should have left this open because we're going to use our greeting for this. Now, one staple that every paper crafter needs is a circle punch. And we have a lot of circle punches at Stampin' Up. I picked the 2 1/4 one for this card, and I'm going to use it. And, oops, what am I doing? I'm getting ahead of myself. This is going to be a thank you card, so I'm going to stamp. Now remember, every time that I forgot to say on this, every time that you want to stamp a new image, you need to re-ink your stamp. So every time you need to put more ink on it and then stamp it. Let me find a piece of scrap paper here. I'm gonna actually let's punch our circle first, and then we'll do our greetings. So these are actual thank you cards I did make this week to send out. I haven't sent them out yet, but I made multiples of these to send to my customers and people that I wanted to send a thank you to. Okay, super easy. Now you could, if you didn't want to buy a punch, or you don't have a punch right off the bat, you could just stamp your greeting first here in the middle and then stamp your flowers around it. But we are going to use our circle punch to just give it a little bit more dimension, but you don't have to have a circle punch. This is to tell you how long I've been stamping. So when I first started and we wanted to get fancy with our cards, Stampin' Up! Sold like die-cut circles. We didn't have circle punches at that point. So you could buy like a pack of circles that were that were die-cut. Of course, they were all one size. But, you know, that was the cat's meow because you could get dimension on your card. Now, these are called dimensionals, these little foam discs. They have a plastic coating on the outside, and then when you stick them on your project, they just give it just a little bit more dimension. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick this down here. And then we didn't really have embellishments when I first started stamping. I feel like I'm talking about like 90 years ago, and it was 20 years ago, but I have come to put embellishments on pretty much every card. Now these are ones that are discontinuing, but they're still in the store. They're called iridescent adhesive back dots. And again, I'll have all the lists of everything I used today in my newsletter that will go out Sunday. So I've been sending out my free project sheets on Sunday. Today is June 18th. 2025. If you're not watching currently and you're watching later, you might want to know, what is the date where I can get this project sheet? Okay, so now this has a lot of colors in it. This is one of my all-time favorite embellishments because they're shimmery and shiny, and there's a green and kind of a reddish orange and a pink, and then like a aqua and kind of a white. So for this one, we could use pretty much any of these on here, but we're going to use these light colored ones. This tool is called the Take Your Pick tool, and it has a pointed end on this end, and it has a spatula on the other end, and then it has a putty end on this end. So this is a way to pick up really tiny embellishments. Let me bring it up here. Tiny embellishments, or something that maybe has glue on it and you don't want to touch it with your fingers. So you can also use this for your embellishments too. Let's just take a couple here and pick them off your card like that. We could even put more on this card. More is always better with bling. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We'll put 5 on. And I kind of go in triangles with these. And there you have a finished card. Anyone would love to get this card, and any of you can make this. If you've got some supplies sitting around, and you've got some stamps and some greetings, you can make this card. It's super easy. Just sit down with your stamps and get started. That's all you have to do. Now, I have chosen another stamp set for the inside of my cards. This one is really tiny. It's hard to see. It's called Unbounded Love, and it has perfect greetings for the outside and the inside. But the one we're using on the outside today doesn't really have inside greetings, although you could combine these. You could put best wishes on the front and happy birthday on the inside. I'm going to pick one out of here. I don't even remember what I picked. May all your wishes come true. That's not it. Okay, there's one in here that's called Have a Blessed Day. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the inside. And gosh, got all kinds of stuff going on here. I'm going to show you a box that the Take Your Pick tool comes in when we get this card stamped, so you can see what all you get with it. It's a very handy tool and very nice to have when you first start stamping, if you're an experienced stamper and you don't have one yet, I highly recommend it. I use it all the time. Have a blessed day. We've got flowers on the front, so let's go ahead and put a flower on the inside. And actually, let's do all our flowers so our inside matches our outside. This only takes a few moments to add something extra special on the inside. I'm going to make sure my stamp is clean. Make sure you clean it really well before you go from one color to the next color. And now I'm going to grab my fresh freesia again, and I'll ink it up like this. And then I'm going to take my pool party, clean my stamp, clean this stamp. Just have it handy so you can do it. And as I said, when we first started, we just used an old rag on a paper plate that was just very lightly damp, and you can clean your stamps that way too. I'm going to put this little flower down here. And isn't that cute for the inside? And then also, I did decorate the outside of my envelope like so. So there's our completed little card. And I think this would brighten anyone's day. It brightens your day by just sitting down to stamp and using your supplies, and it will brighten someone else's day as well. Let me grab the box that this comes in. I had it out, and of course now I don't even see it. Where is the box? Joe and Elizabeth. So welcome to Create with Joey. This is usually how it goes. I have things all ready when I start, and then they just walk off my desk for some reason. Well, anyway, it comes with an extra putty tool. This just screws off, and you can replace it when you've used it all or when you need a new one. So it comes with an extra putty, and it also comes with another end that fits in like this one does that has 2 scoring blades. So instead of the pointy tip and the spatula, it has a small scoring tool blade and then, or point, whatever you want to, tool, I guess we would say, and a larger one. So my box will turn up just as soon as oh, here it is. I knew I had it. So it comes like this, and then you've got this extra tool. And I'm already on, for this one, I'm on my replacement tip that went here, but you can see that this will score your paper, and then this one, this end too. So that's how it comes. It's very useful, very handy, and I highly recommend it for both beginning and experienced stampers. Okay, so there's card number 1. I'm going to take it. Oh, you're welcome. Is it Rochelle? Sorry, I'm butchering your name. Hi, Liz. Have stuff you haven't used? She's laughing. Pam, I didn't see you on Facebook. Always seems you are good on YouTube. We love bling. Diane loves bling. Pam says, I remember 20 years ago and how much it has changed. So much more we can get now. Yes, it has changed so much. Now we have personal die cutting machines, if you're not aware of that. And honestly, when they first came for Stampin' Up, when we first started carrying them, I thought, well, I'm going to buy this because I think some of my customers would be interested in seeing it. But I thought, I'm not going to use it that much. I just don't even know why I would need that. Well, famous last words. Now, I craft with my die cutting machine all the time. And I recommend it if you've decided you really love this hobby. I think you would really enjoy having it. Okay, so now we're going to step it up just a little bit. And we're going to cut some thin strips of paper. By the way, I was going to cut a card base. I forgot to pull out some paper. So let's cut a card base so you can see how to do that in case you are new. I did have a friend come to a stamping class I gave once, and she bought some things, and I had no idea I didn't know her very well at the time, and she didn't have paper to stamp with, so we had to get some paper after her first order. Okay, so now on our paper trimmer, which is a staple, and I love ours a lot because first of all, it cuts really straight. It has a scoring blade that slides out of the way to score with, which I'm going to use right now. So I'm taking a whole piece of thick 8.5 by 11. I'm going to line it up to 4 1/4. And then I'm going to score, so you just bring your scoring blade down. And the reason I'm doing it like this is because I'm cutting 2 card bases at the same time. Then I'm going to turn it and go to 5 1/2 right here. And then I'm going to slide my scoring blade back out of the way here. And then I'm going to take my dark gray is cutting. Light gray is scoring, dark gray is cutting. And then we cut 2 bases at the same time. I have a friend of mine that had been stamping with me for a long time. She saw me do this on a video once, and she had just finished her Christmas cards, and she said, oh my gosh, I never thought to do that, to score first and cut once. I do it all the time, especially if I'm using a white card base. I almost always make 2 at the same time. So there's our card base. Now, those of you that have been stamping for a while and you've got supplies, anybody have a set of paper that looks like this? This one happens to be called the Floral Impressions 12 by 12 paper. So I took some scraps from this and I cut them all the same size. So let me get my strips out. So I cut 1 inch by 3 1/2 inches on each of these strips. So I cut, I also already did my little hearts, but we'll get to that in a moment. So now when you do this, you do want to cut paper that coordinates. I'm going to show you how I kind of planned mine before I stick them down. So what I did was I knew I was going to use strawberry slush again for the greeting. Let's just go ahead and do that, and then our stamping. We'll get our stamping done, and then I'll explain about how I picked the paper. This is a really great way to use up your scraps, or if you're just starting stamping, this is a great way to make a lot of cards. You can get all your paper cut, and it will take you like 5 minutes to make this card. All right, we're going to do the same thing we did for our first thank you card, and we are going to make a best wishes card. This could be a wedding card. It could be retirement. I'm going to make it wedding. I'm going to go ahead and punch my 2 1/4 inch circle, same punch, and then I'm going to grab my best wishes stamp out of this same stamp set. Let's grab it, and we'll remember to pull your piercing mat out, and then we're going to stamp again. Remember, when you're stamping with a foam ink pad, these are foam ink pads, you're not going to squish down and send it to the bottom of the earth. You're going to tap lightly because you're picking up that ink. The stamp is actually lifting up the ink off the stamp pad, so you don't want to smush it down. You'll have ink all the way around, and you'll probably get ink where you don't want it. So just make sure you just tap lightly multiple times. With photopolymer, you can look through to see, did I get everything covered pretty well? And it looks like yes, I did. So let's go ahead and stamp our circle. I might have to get my head over the top of this. Might get my head in the picture, but it won't last very long. And then you just press down. I forgot to say that. Just press down lightly. Don't wiggle. Try very hard not to wiggle. Just firm pressure. Don't push down super hard, and then you'll get a really nice image. Now, if you're not getting clean images on your stamps, just take a pencil eraser. Like, you can use any pencil eraser. I keep this one in the craft box next to my desk. It's just it was from a dime store, literal dime store when we had them. And I just go over the back of my stamps. I've already done this with these, but I just go over it lightly like this and rinse it off. It doesn't harm your stamps, but it takes off that little bit of coating that is used to release the stamps from the mold so that they don't stick in the mold. We need some hearts for this, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp those. And then it keeps, so when you do that, it removes the, it removes that little bit of coating, and then there's nothing between the stamp and the ink pad. You want your stamp to absorb all the ink without anything preventing that, like that surface coating. You do that with your red rubber stamps as well, both. And then clean it off really well with a damp cloth. I rinse my photopolymer ones under the sink, and then I stamp 2 hearts that are in that stamp set. And then I'm going to cut out one of these for you just to show fussy cutting, which is just a fancy term for cutting out with your scissors. Then you need a paper snip. So if you don't have a paper snip, you need one of these. Stampin' Up! Calls them paper snips instead of scissors. I'm not sure why, but they do. So I'm going to cut just a little bit of a white border around my image, and that is helpful. And I'm moving my paper instead of my scissors. That is helpful for not cutting into your image. And it only takes a moment to cut out something like that. Now, I actually have one already cut out, so we're going to use the one I already did to just save a little time. Now, back to how I was picking how I put this together. So I knew I was going to use strawberry slush, and the best thing about Stampin' Up!, one of the best things, is that our paper matches our ink, matches our markers, matches our everything. So I knew that I wanted to put this strawberry slush layer right down the middle. So now I'm going to kind of move these aside because I'm just going to start from the right. So I used just a coordinating one. I'm going to take my tape runner. This is a tape runner. Sometimes you have to start it with your thumb for some reason, and then you're just going to put some adhesive. You don't have to cover it with adhesive. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this about 1/4 of an inch. That's probably a little bit too crooked. You want it to look intentional, so you don't want it. You want it to be crooked enough to look like, oh, I planned that, but not so crooked that it kind of takes over the rest of your design. Now these go on either side of the middle one, and I made these two the same to kind of tie so it didn't look completely chaotic. Now you can use whatever you think looks nice. You don't have to have them kind of match. And now I'm going to put this strip just a little bit lower than, actually, okay, you can pull up if you pull really gently. I put a lot of adhesive on this, more than I would. Just be really slow and careful. I want this to go up just a little bit higher. Forgot about that. So I want it to go like about 1/4 of an inch from the top and about 1/4 of an inch from the right side, and then maybe more like 1/2 an inch down here, so like that. And then this one is going to go, I'm going to make it a little bit lower and a little bit slanted the other direction. So I'm going to kind of put it like this. Now my middle one, I'm going to put that back up like so, like this one. And this is going to be up above again, just a little bit higher, like so. There we go. And then this one, matching this one. Again, you don't have to do it that way, but I was cutting that one piece of paper, and I thought, okay, I think I like the way it coordinates better by putting two that are somewhat alike. I'm bringing this one down as well, about 1/4 of an inch down here, and I'm slanting it a little bit to the right. Okay, and there's no wrong way with this. Anyone can do this. This is one of the easiest techniques. If you've got pattern paper sitting there that you haven't used yet, get your paper out, cut some strips, and make some cards. Anyone can do this. It's fun for everybody. I'm going up again on this one. I'm kind of keeping this symmetrical. So I'm kind of looking, they're not exact, but they're close enough. Okay, I think that's pretty, just like that. Now you could use a whole piece of pattern paper and just cut it to fit, but I'm trying to show you a way to use scraps that is easy and fun. A beginner can do it, and an experienced crafter can use up some of her paper. I'm going to take a piece of ribbon. Ribbon adds a really beautiful dimension to our cards. So I'm going to take a length of ribbon, probably about 4 inches. It doesn't have to be exact because we're going to cut it. This is called iridescent striped ribbon. It is on the last chance list, and it is part of a suite. So we're having a sale right now. I want to see how long this is. I don't want it to go all that far past my greeting, just to help highlight the greeting a little bit. So I'm going to take off maybe an inch off of this. Let's see what happens there. We are having a sale right now that on Sweet and Sweet products. That's just a fancy word for how Stampin' Up! Has. I like my slants to go the same way, so I might have already cut too much off my ribbon. Let's go like that. See what we've got. That'll work, I think. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. And all the products that are in Sweets, the Sweets themselves and the products in the Sweets are buy one, get one 50% off. So a lot of what I'm showing you today is in a suite. The stamp set itself is not. I'm just going to put some adhesive there, or I could have just put it right in the middle. I'm not going to put it end to end on my ribbon because I actually like my ribbon to be free on the ends and give a little bit more dimension. I'm going to even this up. This has not a very wide slant, so I'm going to move this one or recut it so the slant is looks more like that one, and it's kind of crooked. Again, you can kind of lift up gently, just gently and slowly, and you can kind of replace, put it back down and get it straight. Okay, there we go. So easy, so fast. Anyone can do this. And this is a great way, as I said, for experienced stampers who have a lot of paper to use up their paper. We are traditionally paper hoarders. Those of us that have been doing this for a while, we have paper, don't we? If we're being honest, we have a lot of paper. And I do really try to use mine because I buy more. So if I don't use what I have, I'm not using up what I have bought, which is no one wants to not use their investment. We invest in our products and our collection. We want to use those and use up our products. Okay, so I'm going to take, we also have mini dimensionals, and for that I'm going to, let's see, I want one heart to go down here, so I'm going to kind of put this here. I could put it right on the back of the heart, but for my purposes here, I'm going to put it off of the circle so that I don't get a dimensional on top of a dimensional. And this one's going to go just a little bit higher up. And then we have our two hearts, which is, as I said, I was kind of making this with the idea that it would be a wedding card. And so I'm going to put, may all your wishes come true, best wishes. I guess it could still be a birthday card if I needed it, but I usually run low on wedding cards and baby cards and sympathy cards. We're going to go back to Strawberry Slush. Again, tap, tap, tap. Now, if you're new to buying stamps, when you look at a stamp online with Stampin' Up, they give you suggested sizes for glass blocks. So just make sure you take a look at those. You do not need all the blocks that they're going to list. You just need to make sure what your stamps are, that you have the proper blocks to fit those stamps. One really good size to purchase. Now this wouldn't work for like these, but I'll give you this one. So we're using these today. This is size I block, and again, I didn't put this on my list of, we can't see it very well, but trust me, it's I. And then this one is, I think, D. Let me double check. Yeah, D. So D block is a really good size to start with. And as you invest more in your products, you will want to get some smaller ones and some longer ones so that you just have more choices. The thing is that, let's go ahead and put some hearts on the inside of our card. The closer your stamp fits your block, the less likely it is for you to get ink. See how I have ink on this? Because this block is a little bit large for this stamp. It's the one I have. If you're really careful and you go straight down, you're not going to get this on your card, but it does give you a greater chance to get ink on your card where you don't want it if you don't have a smaller block. But to begin with, you don't need 10 blocks. You might need 2 or 3. You just have to look at what they recommend. So here we have a wedding card. Oh, and we don't have any bling yet. So all the bling I'm showing you today is part of suites. So they would be eligible for the buy one, get one 50% off sale. I'm going to grab for this one these are some of my favorite gems, and I felt like they just went so well with the iridescent ribbon. I think I have a few here that I haven't used up yet. Yes, I have just 2, and then we'll open this pack because we'll probably go ahead and put 3 on. These are called iridescent faceted gems. If I didn't say that yet, I can't remember if I actually said the name of it, but these were part of a suite, so they are a buy one, get one 50% off. So I'm going to let's go down here. I'm not going to be super creative with my gems today. Let's go off. And this has 2 sizes, but they really catch the light and they're really pretty. So I thought they went really pretty with the iridescent ribbon. All right, my friends, you can make this card. Of someone who has never stamped before can Make this card. Someone who has stamped a lot can use this idea to use up their paper and make a quick card for either birthday or wedding, whatever occasion you need a card for. So that's our second card. So anybody have any pattern paper that they haven't used up yet? I know the answer to this, but unless you're very new to stamping and you don't have pattern paper, then you might need, you might not need this design, but I'm guessing most of you have some paper sitting around that you haven't used yet. So let's get your paper out, cut it into 1 inch by 3.5 inch strips, and make a bunch of cards. All right, let's go to, we're going to get a little bit fancier now. We're going to use our pattern paper in a particular size that I use all the time. So this is the same set of paper that I showed you earlier, the Impressions of Bloom paper, and this is a pool party pattern. It's very subtle, and we're going to stamp right on it. You can also do that, but you have to be a little careful with that. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself, so stop. We're not going to talk about that for a minute. We are going to stamp our greeting first. So here's another thing you can do with your greetings. So we are doing quite a bit of fuzzy cutting today. Now you don't have to do that. You can just stamp. We could just stamp on this paper and cut around it with our paper trimmer or even our scissors and be done. But it is fun to add a little bit more dimension to your projects. I'm currently hunting for my piercing mat. Here we go. Okay, so let's get this back up here. To add depth. Now, if you don't want anything, I have one stamper who doesn't like to have any depth on her cards because she doesn't want to worry about did she get the right amount of postage on it. Because if it gets too bulky, they will require an extra stamp. So she likes her cards to just be flat. But when you just add one-dimensional, not one-dimensional itself, but one dimension of height to your cards, you don't have to pay extra postage. Just feel it and make sure it's not super bumpy. Okay, so now, again, I'm looking through my stamp. I've got my piercing mat out here. I'm going to stamp Thinking of You. Then I'll show you what we're going to do with this in a moment. We are going to cut around this, but I'm going to cut a little strip off of this. Going back to my paper trimmer. Now, I don't know if you can see this. I think you probably can, but on my paper trimmer, so this is for you experienced as well as you inexperienced. This is tear and tape that I put a strip of tear and tape on the back of this edge right here under the numbers so that I can see those numbers more clearly. I'm trying to bring it up. That white strip is the tear and tape that helps make it more clear as to where my numbers are. And I'm going to cut a 3/8 inch. I'm going up here. There's a 3/8 inch over here. Here's 1/2 inch. I'm going to come down 1/8 of an inch. Or if you go 4, oh, never mind. My brain's not caught up with my mouth. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut that strip. Now, this is getting a little bit putsier, so I guarantee you I would not have done this when I first started stamping. I probably wouldn't have done this for several months after I started stamping. But I do it once in a while now because I like my pattern paper to show, and sometimes these larger greetings. Now I'm just lightly going up. Can you guys see that? I'm just going on the edge of my paper, my stamp like this. So I'm just catching the of you. And it's not going to really matter if I get any of the thinking in there because this strip is so thin that I don't think it would catch it. Oh, I did catch a little bit there, but we don't care because we're going to cut that off. Okay, So here's how we're going to do this. We are going to set this aside, or we could trim it with our snips. We might as well do that now because we're going to use it trimmed. And I'm just going to cut off the edges like so, trying to be pretty straight. You could do that with your paper trimmer if you don't trust that you can get it straight. I didn't get it super straight, but I'm okay with that. Okay, well, let's go ahead now. We're going to fussy cut our words. Now again, this is, as I said, this might be something you don't really want to do. This is fairly easy to cut around. Remember, you're moving your paper, especially if you don't have a die cutting machine. They are an investment, and you probably have to be pretty sure you're going to really be paper crafting, which I don't know why you wouldn't, because it's such a great hobby. Cheaper than therapy, my friends. And we're going to just cut our little white border, a little cloud around all of our greeting right here. Did I say this is Secret C? I'm not sure I said what color it is. This is Secret C ink. And sometimes I just cut away the excess to get it out of the way of my scissors. I'm just turning my paper. This is not a precise art. I'm not the best, world's most particular fussy cutter. I just want to get it done so I can get on with my card. This does take a little longer, so if you don't want to do this because you're in a hurry, then you just leave it on your paper. Just cut it to size of your greeting, your paper, and move on. There, so that'll be fine too. Okay, so there we've got it. Just another way to add dimension if you don't have a paper trimmer. All right, so now we've got our greeting ready. Now we're going to actually stamp on our pattern paper. Now I just caution you with this. These are water-based inks, so they're not going to be completely, they are going to be somewhat see-through. They're not going to be completely opaque. The reason I cut this first is because I kind of wanted to sit this here while I stamp my hearts and my stars. So far we're just sticking with our strawberry slush ink. And our, oops, let's get out our pad. Don't forget your piercing mat for this. Let's get this out again. I'm not reading your comments. I will come back and check them periodically. I just can't see them pop up on the screen until I look up and actually click comments, and then I can see it. Okay, so I'm going to start with my heart again. Tap, tap, tap in the ink pad, not going sideways, just holding it firm. And then I'm going to, I want this to kind of go here. And again, re-inking here. Now I'm going to take my star stamp after I clean this. Just make sure to clean. Now there's a star in here, which is perfect for like a graduation or even a birthday. We're going to use it for thinking of you. And I'm going to put my star a little bit lower than my heart, and the same here. Just close to it, but a little bit lower. So I've got those like that. Good, I like that. Now, let's go ahead and put this on a mat. So, as I said before, this is a 3x4 piece of pattern paper. Now, if you have a whole 12 by 12 sheet of pattern paper, you can get 12 of these out of one piece of paper. You can make 12 cards just like this. If you really like this design or a similar design, it doesn't matter what you're making, but the point is 3 by 4 is a really good size to put in your library of what sizes to cut paper. And then your mat can be either 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch bigger. This one I did cut 1/8 of an inch bigger. This is 3 1/8 of Secret C cardstock by 4 1/8. So that's how I cut that one. Now let's go ahead and get our card base out here. And I don't see the one I folded already. So, you know, I don't know who comes to my house during my Facebook Lives and just takes things off of my desk. It's the eternal mystery of where did that go? Alrighty, this is another wonderful tool. It's called a bone folder. You can see mine is very well used. From Stampin' Up, they're a very handy tool to do your creases. Can you live without it? Yes. Oh, you know what? This is supposed to have a, no wonder. This is supposed to have a pool party base. So I'm going to take my pool party cardstock. You could put this on a white card. You could put any of these on a white card. I've been using colored cardstock more for my card bases because our white cardstock has gone up a little bit in price. I still use it a lot, but I'm just being a little bit more mindful of it. All right, so let's go ahead and stick this down. We're just going to use our tape runner again. Now, one hint about using this is that, so when you put it on your paper like so, you just kind of flick it off like you're making a check mark. So I'm going to just flick it off. Because sometimes that, if you just run it along, can you see that string of adhesive? No, it just broke. But sometimes that'll cling on here and make it kind of a pain. So just go ahead and do a little check mark when your adhesive is still down on your paper. All right, going to go ahead and put this down. Now, experienced stampers, I think, would enjoy this card as well as beginners because it's easy and quick, and yet it has a little zing to it with our with our fussy cutting of our letters. I can see that this is not straight and it's going to drive me nuts. So I'm going to gently pick this up and line it up on my grid paper. We do sell grid paper. Again, it's not a necessity, but it is nice. I used to, when I first started stamping, I just bought graph paper from, I don't even know, do they still sell graph paper? I'm sure they do somewhere. There we go. That's straight. On Amazon or someplace. All right, let's go ahead, and I haven't bought graph paper for many years, so I don't know, but I'm sure it's available. All right, just putting some dimensionals again down on here. We're going to lift up our grading. You know, sometimes as an experienced crafter, we like to do all the bells and whistles with all the fancy die cuts, and I do too. I love doing it. But sometimes I just need to get some cards made, or I just want to sit down and stamp. I don't want to spend too much time die cutting and putting tiny pieces together. I'm going to go ahead and stick this on a little bit to the right. It's going to go off of my mat just a little bit and try and make sure it's straight. But I was starting to say the grid paper seems to help me get my greetings a little bit more straight and everything a little bit more straight. Again, if you don't have any stamps yet, or ink or paper, those are your priorities. Stamps, ink, and paper. And then you can get fancy with the other stuff. But you have to have a place to start. So I'm trying to give you today the places to start. And if you have some of these things already and haven't used them, we are using them today, and I hope you will dig into your products and make some cards. If you do, I hope you'll share that with me. I'd love to know in the comments. You can come back and say, hey, I used my products today. I'm so excited. I made a card, or I made some cards. Okay, thinking of you. Now, all we're going to do, we're going to put another heart on here. Just my heart's down quite a bit. I guess I used it on almost all my cards. At least we used the star. We're going to use the cupcake on the next one. So let's go ahead and take our Secret C. I used 3 colors on this. So we use Pool Party's our base color, obviously. And then, let me grab a little piece of, I have scrap paper out here too, but of course that has disappeared as well. So we use Pool Party, Secret C, and Strawberry Slush. Now I started to say, when you're stamping on designer paper, you just have to make sure it's really a light color, and that the color that you're stamping on top of it is not going to go a completely different color. Now normally you're very safe if you just stamp tone-on-tone paper. I'll show you a card that I did that with at the end. Okay, so just cutting out our secret C heart here. I'm going to cut away the paper so I can get my border a little bit more even. So just be careful with that if you're stamping on your designer paper. As long as it's a pretty light color, most of our colors will remain, oops, that was scrap paper, will remain fairly true to, let's put that down there, will remain fairly true to their color. But you can see that the strawberry slush here is not as clean as the strawberry slush here. So just be careful with that. Otherwise, it's pretty fun to stamp on your pattern paper as well. Just to give us a little more depth, a little something, something to it. Let's pull out our mini dimensionals. We're going to stick this on down here, kind of there somewhere. Now for this, since I'm going to cross over my greeting, I want some adhesive on this part, on the top of it. And then this dimensional is going to catch the bottom of my heart, like so. There we go. Thinking of you with a cute little heart. Then let's grab some more gems. I think for this one, I used these guys again because it has this kind of a red color that I thought looked nice with a strawberry slush. So we're going to go ahead and use it. By the way, if you get, these are already discounted, so if you do the buy one, get 50%, these are like $2.50. They're super cheap. Okay, so there we go. This is simple. You can do this if you're a beginner, and it's also a great way for those of us that have been stamping for a while to make a card that's not too hard, quick and easy, but it has some dimension on it, and it's still a wow. I think it's a wow card. I really do. I got the basic idea from the middle of that card from a friend of mine. Her name is Jamie Sanders. Now we're going to use all the bells and whistles for our last card. I'm going to pull out. By the way, if you do make a $50 order in my online store this week, you will get one of these embellishments, a new one, the strawberry slush and pretty in pink. These are the iridescent discs. No, what are these called? Not that's the wrong one. Iridescent. These are the iridescent faceted gems, and these are iridescent discs. But anyway, I'll send you one of these. I've got quite a few of all three of these. So you can even let me know your choice. If you have a favorite of those, and send me a message or an email, and I'll make sure you get the one that you want. All right, let's go ahead and do our fancy schmancy stuff now. We're going to get out the die cutting machine, and we're going to first use an embossing folder. Now, the paper I'm showing you today is part of a suite of products called Impressions of Bloom, and this embossing folder is also part of that suite. And so that means they qualify for the buy one, get one 50% off sale. I'm going to grab a piece of, this is just basic white, and I should have shown this before I got out my machine, but there is a line here on the embossing folders. It helps to line up your paper with that. I'm going to actually go a little bit lower than the line because you can't see the pattern there at all in the screen, but the pattern kind of ends here, and so I want to get as much of this Distressed Flowers, it's called Distressed Flowers embossing folder. It's a regular embossing folder, which means you just use your basic plate one of your die cutting machine, a 3-plate, then your embossing folder goes in fold first, then another 3-plate over the top. Make sure everything's straight, and then go through your die cutting machine. Mine's pretty tight fit. They can vary a little bit in pressure, but this is a really excellent die cutting machine. We're going to actually die cut with it as well for this card. As I said, we're stepping it up quite a bit for this card, just so you can see all the things that a die cutting machine can do. All right, let me grab our card base again, our white one. And we're just going to put white on white. Actually, this will be, I really love this idea for wedding cards. There you can see the pattern better. I'm going to go ahead, actually for this one, I'm going to use liquid glue. Liquid glue is another great adhesive to have. The trick with being friends with liquid glue is not using too much. Now I make a squiggly pattern along the edges. The reason I don't go straight like this is because I always put my finger in it so that I can hold it and still get to the edges for the most part. I can grab it here, avoid the glue, and that's why I use the squiggly pattern on the back of my mat here, my white mat. So I'm just going to put this is another basic size of paper. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. It's a size I use all the time. These two sizes, 3 by 4 or 4 by 5 1/4, are probably the two, for sure, the two that I use the most, especially this size, because you can cut your pattern paper that size, or you can just cut your cardstock like that. All right, let's go ahead and from that same set of papers, we're going to just take this really pretty spring bloom. And the reason I said liquid glue on your embossed images is because of the embossing impressions. It doesn't stick quite as well with your tape runner. But liquid glue is the gold standard for having things stick together. Okay, so now I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch, maybe as much as 1/2 inch. This is 2 inches by 5 1/4. It's another size I use all the time for pattern paper. 2 inches by 5 1/4. That means you can get 12 of these as well out of one sheet of 12 by 12. Okay? All right, so there is that. Now we're going to do some die cutting. So let's get out the die cutting machine. I've got another piece of coordinating paper, same group of papers. I'm not using any paper that isn't in the Impressions of Bloom paper. Now, if you're very new to stamping or you don't have this yet, this is a die set that I highly recommend. So it's called Stylish Shapes. So you've got all these sizes of circles. You've got these greeting ones with the flagged edges, and they're all stitched, and the squares as well. So if you don't have any basic set like this is a good one. We're going to use the second to largest. And let's go ahead and grab this. Now most every week I offer what's called my class to go, and it means whatever I'm showing on Facebook as multiple cards that you can get. This is how we do this. So let me try this again. Base 1, plate 3, our pattern paper, our die goes with a cutting edge down. I missed something here, kids. Hang on, I'm missing a plate. So I kind of lied. So it's 1 and then 2. You need this extra piece for die cutting, and it shows you right on the plate the sandwich to use. We call this a sandwich when we're mounting up one plate on top of the other. Now we've got plate 3. It's different for embossing with the embossing folder than it is for die cutting. Then one more plate 3, and then we're going to go through the die cutting machine like this. Anyway, I offer a class to go most weeks I'm here every week on Wednesdays normally. And then you can get the supplies for what I'm making as a thank you for your order. This week is a thank you for a $50 order because you're also getting one of those 3 embellishments I talked about. Okay, but I would love, most of all, I would love for you to share this video. And if you're enjoying it, I hope you'll subscribe as well. So now we've got our stitched edge. You can kind of see that there. And let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and just put that right on our card. So this is, as I said, this is a card layout I've used. I don't even know how many times, hundreds of times I've used this card layout. By that I mean a 4 by 5 inch panel with a 2 by 5 1/4 inch panel on the front of it. And as I said, by the way, this will all be in my tutorial, PDF tutorial that's going to go out to everyone on my newsletter this week. So I'm going to put this on. Maybe we'll have that skewed a little bit. If you're going to skew it, make sure you do it enough so it looks intentional. That pattern goes a little, I'm having it go a little bit to the right instead of straight up. All right, now we're going to stamp this greeting the same way we did our first greeting. This is a birthday card. So let me grab the scrap paper for this. And then remember your mat. So bring our mat back out. And we're going to do happy birthday. This time I want to make sure this is really clean. So before you're changing inks, going from one ink to another, especially from a dark ink to a light ink, you want to make sure you're use some good pressure and look at it well. Because I had secret C. Oh, I don't want that one. We need happy birthday. For heaven's sakes. I'll just double clean this one as well. It looks like there's some green on it. I think I got it. So just make really sure, especially if you have stamped something in a dark color and you're going to a lighter color, that you have cleaned it very, very well. All right, now we're going to take this beautiful light purple. It's called Fresh Freesia. Now, another way to ink these big stamps is to actually put your stamp upside down and then ink it from the top, just lightly. Again, tap, tap, tap. Don't smush. No smushing and stamping. Okay, let's just lightly. Now, if you're using Memento ink, I don't want to get too confusing, but if you're using Memento ink, it's our black ink. It is a felt pad, so you do have to squish harder on that. Just keep sticking. It must have adhesive on the back. Then we're going to stamp happy birthday. Okay, and then let's get out our paper trimmer and go ahead and trim off that 3/8 inch. Like I talked about earlier. So we'll bring this in. Here's a half going 1/8 before that. The 16ths are marked too, so if you want to get really precise, you can use 16ths, but 16ths are too much of a pain for me most of the time because I don't think anything really needs to be a 16th. All right, let's go back to our Fresh Freesia. Now we're going to catch the edge of that happy birthday. This is, as I said, this is not something I might have done when I first started stamping. Just going to get the happy inked. But since my paper here strip is so thin, it won't really matter if I get ink on the birthday because it's not going to show. So you can see how that cleaned up really well. Now what I've done for this card is I've already fussy cut the birthday out because, let's see, oh, we need some cupcakes. I've already cut out the birthday for us today, and I'll get that out when we're ready to do the to finish up the card when we're ready to put it all together. Going back to Strawberry Slush today for our cupcakes. I went back and forth between, we need 3, between Strawberry Slush and Fresh Freesia for this, but I landed on Strawberry Slush primarily because it shows up better in the camera to take a photo, and I like my photos to be eye-catching so that people take a moment and stop and look. And then we're just going to cut around. Hey, before we do that, let's use our Wink of Stella. This is just a total add-on fun thing. It's called a glitter brush, Wink of Stella glitter brush, and it has glitter in the pen, very subtle. Probably won't show on the camera. And I'm just going to go over the frosting to have it give a little bit of pizzazz and make the frosting look a little bit different than the cupcake. Now, if you want to get really fancy, you could use a marker, a Stampin' Right marker that also comes in all of our ink colors to mark on the stamp itself. That's for another day. This is for beginning stamping, so we are not going to do two tones on this stamp. We are just going to stick with Strawberry Slush. Okay, there we go. I think I have the other two cut. Let's double check. I thought I did. Here's our birthday. Yeah, I did. And here are our other cupcakes. Okay, there we go. Lots of cupcakes. As I said, I did this ahead of time just to save a little time on. Oh, I even did my happy. I've already got that cut. So, but that's how to do it so that you know how to do it. Now I'm going to take my Wink of Stella and color in these. But this is a very common, let me go back to, if you just follow this template, it's very easy. It has interest because of the embossing folder and the die cut circle. 2" by 5 1/4 inch piece of pattern paper. That also helps you use up your pattern paper, or even just use it. If you have pattern paper you haven't opened yet, which again, I think a lot of us do if we're going to be honest about it. Okay, but that's just an extra little fun thing that you can do. This way, we're going to go ahead and add our fresh freesia over the top of this. You might wonder how I got my color combination. I went right from the designer paper. So on the back of your designer paper, and online it shows it as well, it gives you all the list of the colors that are in the paper. And that's how I chose what I was using today. I just looked at that list and chose 3 of those colors. And I'm hoping this is helpful. I hope this inspires you to get your supplies out. Or if you see a couple things that you might need to add to your collection, then I would love for you to be my customer. But if you already have things you're not using, I highly encourage you to at least use the card templates I'm showing you today. They're very easy. They're very quick. You can make multiples of them. You don't have to have a lot of supplies to make them. Okay, so this is going to go a little lower than center because we're going to put our happy above this like so. I will read your comments when I get to the end of this while you're voting on your favorites. So you can start already telling me what you think is going to be your favorite. I'll put them all back on the screen in a moment. So this was our first card, our thank you. You could go by greetings as to your vote. This was our second one. And this was our third one. So we've got thank you, best wishes, thinking of you, and now we're getting our birthday card together. So you can be thinking which of these is your favorite. I'm going to stick this happy up here. And then let's put some dimensionals on our cupcakes. And then we need some bling on this one as well. I'm going to grab my sample here in a minute. Let's put one cupcake right here. Again, I'm putting this dimensional off of the circle. I could put it right on my cupcake, but I want to make sure I'm not getting my dimensional on the circle, because I've already got dimensionals here, and that would bump it up a whole nother level, which I don't want, because again, we're kind of watching out for our postage. Uh-oh, where's my cupcakes? I covered them all up here. And then we're just going to put 2. Let's see here. I want this to go. This one I am going to put on the cupcake itself. And then this one, I think we'll do the same. Put one here off of the circle, the die cut circle. Am I in the picture? Not really. Okay, so let's bring these up. I'm so happy you've been here with me today. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate you. I'm hoping to grow my small business, and when you watch and comment and like and thumbs up, it really helps me grow, and I would really appreciate that. If you're enjoying what I'm showing you today, let's get some gems out for this one. Also, this one we're going to use these gorgeous strawberries, slush and pink gems. I got to get these out of the way for a moment, and then let's go back to take your pick tool, and let's do the strawberry slush ones. They're the darkest ones here, and let's do a big one, a little one, and then one more big one down here somewhere, maybe there, so it shows a little bit more. There we go. Listen, you guys can make these cards. You can make a background paper, even if you only have a few supplies, with just a few colors of ink and a 1 stamp set. You can make a wedding or this could be birthday or retirement. Might put something other than hearts for retirement. Happy birthday. We all need birthday cards, and we all need thinking of you cards. This could actually be sympathy, but I wouldn't use stars. I might use just hearts and soft colors for sympathy, thinking of you. All right, so now I'm going to check the comments and feel like I can talk to you. Jamie, these are definitely, she needs to use her paper. Holly, first time seeing you. Welcome, Holly. Thank you. I'm so much glad you're here. Happy birthday first, but I like them all. Diane says, I tell my nursing home ladies when we use a glue dot, and they giggle. Wait, when we use glue, a dot is a lot. A dot is a lot. She's talking about this. A dot is a lot, and that is the Lord's truth. A dot is a lot, so be really careful with it. Liz, this is so cute. Love the colors. Oh, thank you, Liz. Kathy Faverka, thanks for sharing. Love the paper, although the thank you has all the loving. Okay, although the thank you has all the loving stamping to make the background paper. Oh, this. Okay, perfect. Oh, I'm happy that was helpful. Carol, thank you. I'm glad you were here with me and stamping. And again, if you're watching replay, I'd love for you to comment. And I will come back. I always come back and check my comments. Let me come up here and say hello. So again, I hope this was helpful, you guys. Thanks so much for being with me. I've just been thinking a lot about my first years of stamping and how much my life has changed. I'm saying this from my heart. Through stamping, I was so stressed. I was teaching in a high school. I was teaching choir. I taught 4 to 5 selected groups. They were all audition groups every semester, and we were out performing a lot. I loved it. I loved the kids. I loved teaching, but it was all I could get. It's all I did. So I didn't think I needed a hobby. Didn't think I had time for a hobby. Didn't think I was creative. All those things. But I found stamping with my friend, and it was a social connection as well as a creative outlet. And I've made so many friends through the years with stamping. In fact, I think most of my friends now are stampers, pretty much all of them. Not all, but pretty much all of them. So it just can add so much to your life. I hope this encouraged you today to get out your supplies, cut up your paper, stamp some greetings, and send some cards. Everyone will love to hear from you. You'll have fun. It will release all those good endorphins in your own brain, and it will make somebody else happy and know that you're thinking of them. So if I can help you in any way, let me know. I will continue with my series of beginning stamping ideas, and I hope to have enough interest for all my viewers, my experienced stampers as well as my beginners. So I'm really wanting to share stamping with some of you that might not have found it yet, or if you have found it and you've got a bunch of stuff and you haven't used it yet, you don't know where to start, here's a perfect place to start. So make sure you have signed up for my newsletter so you get the directions for all the cards I made today. And I send free tutorials every week to my newsletter subscribers. So just make sure you subscribe. Let me know if I can help you with anything. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.